podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
So we went on last week, and I just want to apologise. I had a really bad day in work, and I wasn't in the headspace to record. And quite frankly, there was nothing really to talk about last week. But let this start of this podcast be a reminder that I'm aware that predominantly our audience is male. If you are a female Ospreys fan, welcome. But our audience is predominantly male, and it is okay to have a bad mental health day, and it is okay to reach out to your friends and say, look, I can't do this today. I'm having a tough time. Let that be the tone in which we set this podcast. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Ospreys Eyrie.
Welcome back, gents. Last one. Well, next week's the last one. When we do some fun
last
season.
but free. Last but
three.
free.
Yeah, sorry. When we win the Uke, that will be the last but one. We are still on course to win more silverware than Leinster this year. Not for the first time.
Just end the podcast there. You know, as things stand at the time of recording, the Ospreys have won more than Leinster this season. I think
if Ulster beat Munster on Saturday, which it's absolutely doable,
and URC Chaos do a lot of weird things to Leinster as well.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like this. It's written in the stars, especially when you have an average points scored of 6.1 in a URC match against a side that's in 10th or whatever, and then you only score one try in 100 minutes of rugby. Yes, Toulouse are very good at rugby, and they've got Antoine Dupont, but it's kind of all adds up.
Well, so just to mention, right? So we have won the World Shield, and I mean it's sort of flown under the radar because we've got bigger fish to fry. If Cardiff had won it, they'd have a brilliant, huge celebration once again, as they did last year when Josh Turnbull half-heartedly raised it on the pitch and went, "Oh, okay."
They had an open top bus parade between the Millennium and Glenfarnes Park.
Yeah, all the way. Have I told my story actually about that day? And that
it was the best thing ever.
Yeah,
I think we spoke around the same time. And I remember you saying, "It's like I'm there. I'm either going to lift the shield to give it to...
Have I told it on the podcast?
I think you told it on Blood and Mud, but tell it on
the short version of the story, just to very quickly run over it, right, was the four regions were told last year for Judgment Day, each of them, because I think theoretically any of them could have won or whatever it was anyway, won the shield. Yeah. All four of them had to provide a fan to present it. And the Ospreys were told, or the message that went out was, be careful getting a kid in because, the trophy can be quite heavy if you need to lift it. So, Bethan from the Ospreys got in touch with me and said, do you fancy doing this? And you're going to be there anyway. And I was like, sure, why not? So, if the Ospreys had won the World Shield last year, if they'd beaten Cardiff in that last Judgment Day game, I would have gone on the pitch and presented the trophy to Justin Tipuric. Which is the stupidest thing to ever happen. But the cool thing is, I got to go down the tunnel briefly in the Principality on match day to have a look at what the process would be if I had to go in and get the trophy out. As it was, they got battered, and it became clear when everyone else was sat down the front, all the other people there, the other three regions had all nominated kids because the Ospreys had misunderstood it, and what they meant by be careful if it's a kid, they meant get someone over the age of 10 rather than get a fully grown adult who's nearing 30. And so it would have looked tragic if I'd gone up instead of the actual child who was currently in hospital who presented it to Josh Turnbull.
And that child is now Alex Mann.
Yeah, he's actually played 3 games on the wing for them this season.
Oh, that Judgment Day was miserable last year.
Yeah.
What an awful... I went on like a last minute win with a mate, and we were sat in sort of the upper tier, and the Dragon Scarlets game was actually a genuinely compelling game of rugby. Sam Lousy doing stupid things, or if one of the Tongans doing a stupid thing, that Rio Dyer's
step on combat, mate.
Oh, I watch that at least once a week to make myself feel better. And then Steph Hughes scoring under the post. It was just a really, really, and then that shower of shit happened for our game, and it was like we looked tired. We clearly didn't want to be there. There's that Thomas Williams try, which I hate watch every now and then. Oh, it was awful. We had Harry Dole on the wing.
Harry Dole on the yes. Oh man. There's a pub quiz signing
who
question.
Robert Rees keeps tweeting about at that time, saying he was the best signing ever just because he came from Ebbw Vale. And I was just like, fuck off, Rob.
To be fair, this put under Rees, so I don't know if you're 100% on that.
So the best thing about that night was, so my best mate's is a Wrexham boy, living down in Cardiff. So we were going to go to his anyway, and we had two options after the game. Now I had no intention of going out. So I wore like tracksuit bottoms instead of just really casual stuff. So I had a text from a mate saying, Ruben Morgan Williams just texted me. They're all going over to Proud Mary's in Cardiff. If you fancy coming over, you see a couple of boys have a few beers. And I was like, if I can get in, I will. We couldn't get in as it was because I was wearing tracksuit. So we went to the City Arms. And there were two Wrexham fans in there, my best friend and this random man who just both started crying because they watched Wrexham get promoted. So I basically had to console my friend on the way home because we were quite drunk. Stopped off at the Domino's in the middle of Cardiff and then walked back to Roath, him crying because Wrexham had won. And I was like, the Ospreys lost. What a day.
I got accosted in between those two games I was waiting in the toilets, and a guy came up behind me and started shaking my shoulders, going, we won! And it was a Dragons fan who just seen I was wearing black and assumed I was also a Dragons fan. The guy was pissed out of his skull and started crying as I was talking to him in the queue. And at least Wrexham got promoted. The Dragons had won one game at the end of the season, and he got like weepy and emotional over how proud he was that they pulled it off.
That was brilliant. Oh,
I hope that guy's doing
first
well.
ever Judgment Day.
I hope he gets another one next
year. First ever Judgment Day. I'd never been.
Yes, and have you been much?
Yeah, I remember the what year was it when the Ospreys did that weird comeback and Webb dived in the corner one year?
I watched that one the other day. Actually, that was Josh Navidi scores that. It seems to be a very good try. But it's actually just pathetic defending, and he just sort of runs through everyone.
But I think the first one is the where Bigger steals the headlines and wins man of the match by doing some outrageous performance, and single-handedly wins the game, which is a lot of games at the Ospreys during that time period. But this was a proper Bigger performance as well.
I know. I remember that. I remember that fond thing. I remember that first one being really exciting, and the first couple really were. And I went to a couple early on, and then the Gareth Anscombe infamous traitor match. I remember being there.
Comrade Anscombe.
Yeah. I met friend of the pod Josh Gardner and Lee of Blood and Mud. They did a kind of meetup around that. And I went along there.
Did. You're right.
And then I went last year, and honestly, that kind of put me off going again this year, which I had been planning to go because I thought last year was a really I think the game itself kind of spoils the occasion a bit because it wasn't great. But the amount of people getting up, going for drinks, disinterest in the rugby, I just kind of felt it was an underwhelming atmosphere in general. And I'm actually quite excited to see how it goes in the Cardiff City Stadium.
Yeah, so am I. I'm going down with Jamie from Dragon's Lair and Rap, and we're meeting Gav from Dragon's Lair and various other podcasts with Grav from Rock and Roll, and hopefully seeing Hugh from Scarlet's Fever and Pirate Rugby Pod again, who's a nice guy, good to watch a rugby game with, So yeah, it'd be good. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully it is good. Taking it's about balancing dad stuff in the morning, taking up to Cardiff, and then hopefully running over to Tiny Rebel for a drink. That one you were on about yesterday, we won 27-40. That was a good game.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we had 2 or 3 that afternoon. I think
he scored 2, I believe.
Did Sam Underhill?
Yeah, 2, both in the last 10 minutes.
Sam Underhill scored in that game. Yeah, you're right.
It's all coming back to me now.
So, shall we go into the news? There's not much, I won't lie. We haven't really done much compared to the other 3. So, we were off air last week. Up to the big news last week was we got an update on the stadium. I say update, it was more confirmation of what pretty much everyone knew. So, essentially, it has boiled down now to between Cardiff and Swansea and Bridgend.
That'd be a big upset.
That's another merger talk written all over.
That is another merger talk. Sorry, guys.
Imagine how angry Neath would be about that if they went to Cardiff itself.
So essentially, both parties, Bridgend Council and Swansea Council, are putting forward plans for their respective grounds and how it would best suit the Ospreys. I didn't listen to the interview with Lance Bradley on Friday, but from what I've heard, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's very much just saying what we know in word form. To break it all down, basically, St Helens would cost more in the long run. It has more potential around off-field or away from matchday revenue, and it would be described as a multi-year phase project where they would essentially keep adding more and more. So a barn like Llandasi or like in Parc y Scarlets, the pitch would likely be 3G, different clubhouse, things like that. Bridgend would cost less, would need less development, but there is limitations around its geographical location. Obviously, it's a CF postcode, as well as alienating the original Swansea Neath axis. There's also the limited space in and around these. Less you can build in and around Bridgend. Can park plenty of lorries for stands. So, to me, and this is pure speculation, I'm putting this out there now, it seems that St Helens is still in pole position.
Yeah.
What it sounds like is this was like a late surge by Bridgend Council, who have offered a lot of money.
I think it's also a really good contingency option, right? Like It has been when games haven't been available at the Liberty or the Swansea.com. My apologies. There's no Bridgend.com as of yet. Worth noting as well, the fixtures came out and all the Ospreys fixtures for next season are listed as TPC, where almost everything else has the stadium written in for every other ground, every other team. So obviously they're waiting for Swansea City's fixtures to be named, but I'd expect there will be at least a couple of clashes where they'll end up playing games with, potentially in the Brewery Field next season, or maybe even other grounds as well. So it feels a bit like we want the Brewery Field on side, and it'll be a really good contingency option to have. And it might be we take a few games there, even if Swansea, the St Helens is the full-time home, which feels like the better option. You listen to Lance Bradley talk and then wanting other revenue, than wanting other opportunities. With all due respect, I'm not sure how many businesses are going to go and head over for a day out to book out the Brewery Field next to the big Tesco in Bridgend, which is a bit of a journey for not quite the venue that you're getting if you're overlooking a professional pitch and also by the beach, by the sea, as you are at St Helens. It's a much better location. It's got much more potential for other revenue to come in, which the club in the region need. And the situation they're in, if they can start generating more revenue and just owning the stadium will do that because it'll allow them to have a much bigger take of food, drink, ticket sales, which is currently split very heavily with Swansea. You know, Swansea City are taking the majority of all of that on home games. All of that would allow the club to be more prosperous and probably make more money, even if they sell fewer tickets. So that feels like a big priority in terms of just keeping them going. All of the constant talk of that, you know, should we cut down to 3, etc. You need to put together the best possible position to make sure that's not the case. And St. Helens feels like that to me.
Destin, your thoughts?
Yeah, kind of just gonna echo what everyone's kind of said. It just feels like, you know, St. Helens is in front, but you kind of got Bridgend as that really, you know, maybe left field backup option, but it seems that it could do a really solid job. And, you know, maybe if, you know, something didn't really go to plan with St. Helens, you know, all right, there's a lot of supporters probably not pleased with going to Bridgend, but you know, it's still, you know, an okay ground. You know, you can get a good crowd in there on a good day. You know, the biggest worry is with Bridgend is what the crowd would be like if it's just a Friday night at home to someone maybe not as big in terms of, you know, someone like Cardiff in terms of rivalry. Maybe if it's a home game against Connacht or a home game against Zebra, something like that. You know, how many would turn up in that fixture? Obviously, I think the Scarlets game would draw the crowds, you know, like Cardiff. But it's like those lesser games where you kind of think of, oh, you know, do I really want to go out here on a Friday night? You know, you look outside in the weather and it's not particularly good, and you're thinking, I'm just going to stay at home, put it on the telly or wherever. So that's like one point I kind of got against Bridgend, where I think if the games were in St. Helens, it kind of feels like there'd be a bulk of supporters there, wherever the weather, regardless of who they're playing, and it just feels like that's just edging it at the moment for me.
There's also, with Bridgend, with all love and respect to Bridgend, it's a great contingency option, like Robbie said. A year ago tomorrow, do you remember what a year ago tomorrow was on the rugby calendar?
So 31st of May, 2023. Yeah, no idea. What was it?
Swansea RFC versus the Barbarians. Alan Wynne Jones, the Alan Wynne Jones derby. I was there. You, Eston? Thank you.
Yeah, I was in the press contingent.
You were in the press, but you saw just how big St. Helens could be. I'm not saying that's what it'd be like for every Ospreys match, and obviously it'd be a lot different, right? This is not me saying that. But the buzz around St. Helens there was on a different level. And as someone who used to live 2 streets away, not even 2 streets, a street away from St. Helens when I was in uni, the highlight of my week was that walk down to St. Helens on a Wednesday night to watch Swansea Uni RFC. Right? It's just nothing like it. And there are issues around transport and things like that. It can be difficult to get down to, but these things can be worked around, right? I just think that from what we're hearing, St. Helens is the better option in the long term. And by all sort of linking to this, the first Ospreys Business Club took place 2 weeks ago or last week. And sort of sniffing around Twitter, X, and sniffing around LinkedIn, it does seem that it was a really, really big success. And there's a lot of long-term plans to get local businesses from sort of a bit wider involved. So to see that just screams St. Helens more to me. Is to how do we get like Scotland's coffee company in, or the Fab Four coffee in, or something like that? You know, how do we get an advertise, local advertising agency, things like that? You know, how different conference centres and things like that. So that for me is the better option, and judging by how Lance is talking, I just think that St. Helens would be the better option and is the more viable.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's that.
Feel so.
So before we get we'll go into fixtures in a minute. Let's just round off some silly games. Toby Fricker has been confirmed to join your team, Robbie.
Heck yeah. Or frick yeah, I suppose.
Frick yeah.
The New England Free Jacks, my MLR team of choice. I should have worn the jersey tonight, man. It's a lovely jersey. I am a beloved New England Free Jacks supporter, reigning champions of the Major League Rugby, New England Free Jacks. All built on working hard in the well, glory's a point. It's fine. We don't need it. I'm losing track of words. I don't mean to. I apologize. What's going on? New England Free Jacks. They're Well, the Free Jacks, they have been less flashy. There's a lot of MLR teams, the San Diego Legion probably being the headline amongst them, who have signed some fantastic, and the Giltini's back, RIP. Some fantastic kind of players who are over the hill who want a bit of a payday. There's a lot of talk that Jonathan Davis, Foxy, is off there, not Jiffy, though. Yeah. You know what? If we could send him over to Las Vegas and just leave him there, I wouldn't be too bothered.
Well, he'd shout numbers a lot. Just in casino, shouting numbers, go left.
Just have him do a residency, lock him up, make him like Elvis, just lock him in a hotel.
Him and Adele
medicate him.
Sharing the residency.
But yeah, the Free Jacks are generally recruited really smartly. They've kind of signed like percentage players and players that will perform on the pitch, kind of moneyballish, and that led to really good results last year. And I like Toby Fricker. It's a shame that he didn't get more game time. I thought he looked really good in the one game he did play. As I referred to in the podcast, like we have Josh Adams at home, and then you know what? He's USA qualified. He's chasing that cap clearly. He had a period chasing an England cap. Now a year chasing a Welsh cap. Now he's after that USA cap, and good on him. Good player. I like the look of him, and wish him all the best at the second best rugby club.
So what's funny is that the Free Jacks listed him as Ospreys player, but used a Bristol photo. Because quite frankly, the only photo of Toby Fricker in an Ospreys jersey that exists is currently in this month's edition of Rugby World. Because he's in Rugby World. Like there's a part in it which just says like Toby Fricker has joined USA. It might as well say for some reason. And it's him carrying the ball against the Sharks. So that's quite funny.
He was right in front of me on the touchline when for that Sharks game. And sometimes when it's a cold Friday night, you end up paying much more attention to how the wing is chasing, and could really chase a kick, that lad. So look, appreciate that. Yeah.
Speaking of former Ospreys in the MLR, I was a supporter of Rugby United New York and Rugby New York.
I thought you were saying Giltini's.
No, God, no. But Billy Meek's good
sadly
player.
Sadly lost.
Rugby United New York fan. But there's a rugby player who I follow who's called Manate Akue, who is Kenyan. Worked so hard. Like he got a contract originally because he messaged Rugby New York and said, "I'm a rugby player. Can I have a trial?" And they were like, "Yeah, why not?" And he was really good. Well, he was good enough to get a pro contract. He signed for Seattle Seawolves, Alan Clark's team.
Oh wow!
And got man of the match at his first start because he says there's injury cover, and it just makes me really happy because he's like comes from Kenya and moved his life over to sort of pursue this MLR dream. So shout out my boy Manate. But it's just weird that Alan Clark is coaching one of the most successful MLR teams. It was like one of the best squads. I support Chicago Hounds now because they
found him though.
Yeah, because they went on the worldwide hunt.
They went on a worldwide search.
So
no stone unturned.
If we're going to talk about worldwide hunt, there's a new meme in town now. Because if anyone saw Wales Online this week, they published a rumour saying that Ali Davis has been looked at by Cardiff. Now, not 6 months ago, it was said that Cardiff were going on a worldwide hunt for non-Welsh qualified 9. This is why they weren't going after Kieran Hardy. And there was like Faf de Klerk rumours floated about, and there was like even numbers like sort of floated about as well. And now they've gone to Ali Davis. Ali Davis is the new Alan Clark.
Look, how many face first charge downs of winning drop goals has Faf de Klerk nailed?
None.
That's the only stat I care about. Not World Cups won. Don't care about that.
Yeah.
Purely face charge downs.
Also,
not charge downs critical in World Cup final wins. No.
How bad do you have to be to get kicked out of your position by Ivan Van Ziel?
Worse than
Right.
even Van Zale, presumably.
Yeah, worse than Van Zant. Michael Collins, our beloved Michael Collins, who I refuse to believe has left the Ospreys because we haven't published the leavers list from 2022, 2023. He won the Japan League this week, but all accounts is loved over there. Really took his chance as well, things like that. So congrats to him. Big follows the pod. Good guy. Just good egg.
Always,
please.
There's always a bit when you say we love Michael Collins. We like, God, are any Irish revolutionaries listening? Where are we heading here?
Yeah. The three Leinster fans that we still have.
They've probably all switched stocks, haven't with the James Ryan joke yet.
Yeah, true. True.
Gotta keep them fuming somehow.
Right, and finally,
highlight of those Ospreys team sheets of people holding them up remains the time they got, ex-players to do it, and they had Tommy Budge holding up the words Michael Collins. Which is really funny to get our only notable former Irish player to do that.
If we sign Michael Lowry, I want us to splash our budget on the wire and get the guy who played Michael Lowry. Oh, the ghost of Ian Paisley.
Is Will Smith's character? No, is one of the characters in Bad Boys, isn't it? Mike Lowry.
Yeah, Mike Lowry. Oh, yeah, it's Bad Boys, isn't it? The Wire. Yeah.
Yeah. We can get Mike Lowry and Jack Walsh as our 10/fullback options, as Jack Walsh, the character from Midnight Run, and Mike Lowry from Bad Boys. This is a real niche to be built here. In 10/fullback.
Someone called Ethan Hunt.
Yes, of course, the hooker Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
Let's get them in. Let's build a full team of characters who are
from movies, but also from movies in real life.
Yeah. Let's sign that little known second row Thanos. The Melbourne Rebels, I believe. So he's just come on the market.
That's true. Can he carry though? That's the question.
So next, he needs to get all 7 bits of his glove on in order to. He wears those Brock James fingerless gloves, and if he's not wearing them, he's useless.
Peak 2005 Lions, that is. Right, and finally, before we go into fixtures, Liam Williams has been rumoured to come back to Wales. It's understood that he's looking for a club in Wales because him and his partner are expecting a baby. Congratulations, Liam. It's bittersweet because we talked about this in the chat. He would be a very good signing ability-wise. There's no doubt in that. But there is talk, rightly so, talks of his fitness. He hasn't played much rugby. He barely played for Cardiff, and when he did, he just whinged because Ethan Roots put in very legal and good tackles in on him. I'm still salty about that. So I'm conflicted because obviously I really like Nagy, Walsh, Yeston Hopkins. Harry Houston can play there as well. So we do need back 3 players, but I don't think 33-year-old Liam Williams is the answer.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because, as you say, we need back 3 players. We need to make a signing there at least. Yes. And I like Max Nagy. I like Jack Walsh a lot. It was as a fullback. And I like Yeston Hopkins a lot. But I don't look at any of them and think they're a Champions Cup winner, at least at the minute. Nagy and Hopkins could kick on. Walsh, I think, is going to be a 10 going forward, but is a very useful fullback. And having someone who can help us beat the best teams will be useful. The problem is, how many games will he play if he does come in, right? Even if he doesn't retire from Wales duty, there's a very decent chance that he picks up injuries, which he's been doing a lot. He missed most of his full first season at Cardiff. He played, maybe 3 games? And you kind of question, is it worth the money? And is there a stench of someone who wants to be in Wales rather than at the Ospreys? And I think this squad needs players who buy into the culture and buy into what we're doing here. And
I see Liam Williams doing Hurt 2s, the Hot Ones rip-off.
Yeah, that's it. That's the question. And that's the thing, right? If Booth talks to him and believes he will buy in, he is part of this culture, I'd be very happy to have him, because having a world-class fullback in the squad will only help things. And he'll also help the likes of Nagy come on, someone that's positionally as sound as him will be a huge benefit. Because at the minute, there isn't an out-and-out brilliant world-class fullback to be teaching those guys, Obviously, Richard Fussell is, as a coach, who is one of the greatest fullbacks of all time. But from a kind of, been there and done it at international level sense, there isn't someone there. And that might be a benefit. And to fill that kind of Northern Cuthbert role of a leadership type back experienced player, I could see it. At the same time, I get both sides, and depends how much he's asking for. If he's wanting the kind of wages he was wanting pre-World Cup, and especially the wages he wanted in Japan, there's no way we can afford that, and there's no way he's going to be worth it. But if Booth feels it's a good decision, I completely back that, and I can see it being a brilliant choice.
Yes, Tim. What camp do you like in?
Yeah, it's kind of more the same, really. I probably wouldn't really want to risk it. I think if it was post 2019 for the next couple of years or whatever, you're like, oh yeah, it would be a really good addition. But now you're thinking about it, he's in his 30s,
33. Yeah.
His last stint at Cardiff didn't really go to plan with a couple of injuries, and you're just thinking, you'd have a good couple of games of him, then he'd be called up to Wales, and you're thinking, all right, we might not see him for a while. And knowing luck with regional players, when they go to international, they do tend to get injured, and it just feels like one where you could really focus on maybe another area in the back three. I feel like the Ospreys could do with the winger more than a fullback, because I think we just a little bit more depth there.
Well, speaking of that, I put this out on X, and for some reason, whenever I put tweets like these rumours out, they always do numbers. So let's see what some people say. Mark Percy contracts depending on those who'd rather bring someone like Daniel Casende in, who's been discussed before, Joe Jenkins from Bristol, or look at the Bucks for Rugby League. Or if we were willing to spend Liam Williams' money, looking at someone like Billy Proctor or Ruben Love from Super Rugby, or dream sign would be Regan Grace. Jeff Ace said, "Don't see how he'd be value for money for us," and I jokingly wrote to Spike Leslie. And Annette said, "Doubt Booth is that petty," but Annette, I am that petty. Andrew says, "No thanks, he's more interested in Wales' career." Nick said, "We certainly do need back three players." Zach Finch says, "Ospreys makes the most sense. We need back three cover, and someone who's notorious under the high ball will really help." That is true. I do think we lack a general at the back to collect titles.
Yeah.
I don't think Nagy's there yet.
That's my thing with Nagy. I like him a lot, but what I like in a fullback is a fullback who is 95% under the high ball.
I agree.
You have faith he's going to take it, and it's the one real work on in this game is his high ball work.
Yep. Wynn says, with budgets as they are, maybe Osprey would be better just to use Nagy Hopkins, but bringing Conbeer to replace Prothero. Macca says, "I hope he signs for Cardiff for the Dragons." Tony, shout out Tony, good guy. Would bring some experience, but we have Nagy and Walsh as well as Hopkins and Houston coming through. Rather spend money on a 13 or a wing who's not 33. So the general consensus is that he's not the right fit for us.
The other part of it, though, when we're talking about budget, is supposedly the Scars aren't interested. So it's Ospreys, Cardiff, or Dragons. And Cardiff have Win It and Beetham, so don't really need him. It's probably a customary conversation because he's been with that club before and was before he left. The Dragons, Di Flanagan on the Scrum 5 pod said their budget's come down to full 2 million. They're going to be lower than the cap next year based on their projections.
Yeah.
So the chance of them being able to afford him are very slim. And at that point, if you've got your choices, the Dragons on a greatly reduced wage or the Ospreys, you're probably in a better bargaining position. It's probably a buyer's market. And if you can get him vastly below his asking price, I wouldn't complain. But that becomes the thing, doesn't it? It's how much can you ask him for? How much can you get him for? And if he's wanting those old wages, it's not worth it.
If this was 2017, he'd be playing for Worcester Warriors with Francois Houvard.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what that signing screams. One person I did want to run past you, I was thinking today, obviously the sad news coming out of Melbourne today, the Rebels have not been granted a license to Super Rugby 2025. Had a quick look through their squad list, and one that did stick out to me would be Matt Proctor.
Oh, good player.
Yeah,
Could be a
player.
really good addition. Solid 13.
Liked him at Northampton a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just someone that stuck
Classy.
out. I mean,
yeah. I think likewise in terms of players without clubs, Newcastle, since we were last on, have released Matthias Moroni as well.
Has he not gone to MLR?
Oh, has he? Oh, of course he. Yeah, there's that. Yeah, it's Miami Sharks, isn't it? He's talking to. Yeah. Okay, forget that one then.
No, because I said the same. But then I also had multiple people text me about Josh Thomas obviously being released as well. Sam Cross, presumably to go open more Aldi's. Cool. So should we go into the fixture list?
Let's.
So URC did something good and released the fixtures now. I mean, so let's get it. As Robbie said earlier, the home games aren't confirmed venue-wise yet. Obviously, our primary home will be at Swansea.com Stadium, but we have to wait for Swansea City fixtures to come out. So we open the season away at Dragons. Oof. The Rodney Parade curse continues. Hopefully not.
So, also, is this a really good chance to overcome that? You know, we're not coming in off any other games. It can be the focus leading in, and you can really attack that game.
Well, Yeston, you're our resident Rodney Parade expert. I've been there. Talk to me. What do you think about our season opener?
Well, of course, it happened in not long ago, didn't it?
Yeah, where we scored after 33 seconds.
Oh, well, that was 2 seasons ago. I was on about the season before where we won down there. And
is this the one we lost? I can't remember.
No, that was the season after, because
that was the season
after about 30 seconds.
Yeah, Jack Walsh comes in on that lovely line.
Yeah, and then Jack Walsh kicks a ball dead before nailing a drop ball conversion with about 5 minutes to go. And you think,
I remember
that's really unfortunate. But the time before, when we went out there, it was Gareth Hanscom's competitive debut, I think.
Oh.
He might have had the run out against Southampton in the friendly, then it was the Dragons game. And then it was the Cardiff game the week after, where Ellis Jenkins absolutely crunched him. And
yes, he did, didn't he?
And also making his competitive debut that day was Michael Collins, and he scored twice. And
yes,
and that's kind of the only clinging on to hope that I've got, for the fact that we went there on the opening day of the season I want to say it was a Sunday afternoon and won, which
was this 2022 or 2023? 2021, sorry, 2021.
Yeah, 21-22, because Rhys Davis was celebrating in front of the terrace as the full-time whistle went.
Yes. Oh, yes, we won 27-23.
Luke Morgan
and then we won 50 points to 31 later on in the season, where Morgan Morris got a hat-trick. Yeah. So yeah, that was a good game. I liked that one. So from there we head back home, where we play the DHL Stormers. Good time to play the Stormers. Actually, probably the best time to play the Stormers. Obviously, Rugby Championship will have happened. Box might not be back.
That's a good point.
So,
the rugby will still be going on, won't it?
Will it
still be going in September?
On? Never mind.
Yeah.
So DHL Stormers is a good one to play at home. And as we learned this year, they don't want it. Should we
really
rank
do?
Should we rank these fixtures on do they want it or not?
Well, that's
the only way to rank it.
That's
Dragons definitely want it. They'll be up for that one. Dragons want it, I'd say.
That game, the day we're playing the Stormers, South Africa are playing Argentina.
Oh, perfect.
They're playing Argentina 2 hours beforehand. So unless like Netanyam or any of the players are particularly eager to jump over, we've got a pretty good chance there. So that's fallen pretty perfectly.
Never ever wanted Evan Roos to make his debut more for South Africa. So right, I'm writing down want it, don't want it. So we're saying Dragons want it first off.
Dragons want it.
Yeah, Dragons always want it, and then Stormers don't.
Do we have to come back to this at the end of next season?
Yes,
and review this?
Absolutely. Yeah, I will keep this posted note. Dragons, Stormers. Obviously, last time we played Stormers at home, it was a 60
They didn't want it.
draw. They didn't want it. Yeah, we haven't.
Weird game.
I haven't lost to the Stormers in a while. This is a weird thing to say. Cool.
Stormers don't want it.
Stormers don't want it. Munster away.
No.
5th of October.
The tricky one, isn't it?
That is the tricky one.
But is that the rotation game? Because Munster are going to want it, right? They're the one team that's consistently consistently not underestimated us the entire Booth era. They're the one team that's thrown everything at us and taken us seriously. So they're going to want it. And
Anton Frisch didn't want it.
Anton Frisch rarely wants anything.
Yeah, Tony Frisch didn't want it. So I'm going to put them in want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They signed Abrams, is it?
Yeah.
Who was in the cursed thread that Sam Lana did for us, because there's now 2 players in that thread who haven't signed for the Ospreys. So from there we go to the Vodacom Bulls at home, which is my birthday, 12th of October.
No, happy birthday.
So Bethan, if you are listening, I will accept a call for thanks.
So what are the odds on the South African Springbok players coming back into camp, having 1 week off post Rugby Championship, right? Coming back in on maybe the 6th or the 7th of October, and then flying out to Swansea for the 12th. How many of those players are going to be up for that? How many players are going to want to do that?
Low.
Yeah.
Low.
Who are the Bulls playing the week before that?
Just looking at.
Screamers.
So they're playing Ulster at home.
Ulster, yeah.
So they're then flying out. They're then playing the Ospreys away and the Scarlets away. No.
So
yeah, Scarlets away. So are they going to want to fly out to West Wales?
I'm going to say don't want it.
I think don't want it.
I can't see.
I don't know. They're just such a good side, though.
No, I think that don't mistake this for will we win. I'm just saying, will they want it or not?
As in, I think probably some of those players probably don't care, but if they want it or not, they'll just turn up and do it. But they probably
That's fair.
The reason being is it's so close to the Rugby Championship, they won't. There's no point them flying out.
All depends on how many of them are named in the Springbok squad.
From that Bulls team,
if it's a good contingent, then
I think from that Bulls team, a few.
The other thing is, though, there are fewer Springboks there than, like
True.
Billy LaRue is going to be presumably retired. He might go. Yeah. He hasn't retired formally, but how much is he going to play? And then there are fewer Springboks there than there are in the Stormers. But yeah,
as long as Cornel Hendricks doesn't play.
The thing is, I think these fixtures have fallen really nicely for us in that we get the 2 toughest South African teams at home, and the 2 ones we've got to go away to are the Sharks, who have been weaker, and at the end of the season, so we'll see how that falls, and the Lions, who we've beaten before away, right? So that gives us a chance to go, again, 4-4 against South African teams. We got 3 out of 4 this season. We can
4
target
out of 5.
4 out of 5, of course. And then also, we'll get onto it, but Leinster's at home as well, which means we can target that game. And that is during the Six Nations window where they will be severely depleted. But yeah, I think these fixtures have fallen surprisingly quite nicely for us, though we'll probably be, when we finish again one place outside the playoffs again next season, probably be cursing me saying this.
Okay, so do they want it is the question.
Bulls, no.
Right, Bulls don't want it. Okay.
Bulls generally do want it, but I think they're going to have an off week.
Yeah. Ulster away Friday night. That's going straight in the wanted column.
That's the highest level of wanted that's possibly possible.
Because, and with all due respect to him, I'm sure he's a lovely man, but I have to listen to that commentator. And I'm going to claw my eyes out.
You can miss it. You can go on a fairground, go on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah,
Unless they put it on S4C on a Friday night or
I could do. You are right.
BBC Wales, yeah.
Yeah. But
Friday night game.
do I want to listen to Richie Reese or that Ulster commentator?
Isn't Richie Reese starting a new job soon?
Yeah, he's
just
director of
because
his
he'll be in
school,
haberdashery school.
Might
Right.
take over his punditry duties.
No, I doubt it. Right. Edinburgh at home, they don't want it.
No,
Yeah.
last time they were in Swansea, they're having conversions charged down. They definitely do.
Yeah, that screams doesn't want it. That was a hateful game. I hated every part of it.
I loved it. No, I loved it.
I enjoyed it.
I hated it. Zebra away.
Ooh. What?
It's like the opposite of the Bulls.
Yeah.
In terms of like,
So this is there's a month, basically a month between that. So this is post Europe.
Yeah.
So we've gone into and post autumn, but post Europe mainly.
I thought the Zebra game was before the European.
Is it? Oh wait. Oh yeah.
No,
you
it's
are right.
30th of November.
Yeah, November.
Is that
So yeah,
right?
this is post autumn internationals. So presumably we'll have a full squad then, because none of our players are getting called up.
Yeah,
there'll be some 12-year-old from Canton who get called up instead.
Zebra will want that. I think.
Yeah. Zebra want
especially if it was in Swansea, they'd be like, but if it's out in Parma, they're proper up for home games, aren't they? And they got that weird ultra section in the corner of the stand as well.
Yeah, there's also a man with a flare, mainly.
Yeah,
which looks intimidating. Until you realise there's about 10 people there.
They're going to bring on their incredible cameraman, and he's going to run rings around us.
Yeah.
Again, right? So we've got the two South African teams around the Rugby Championship. We've got the week after the Autumn Internationals, Zebra, who will always contribute players to the Italian squad because they've only got two teams, right? So they're probably going to be missing still a week afterwards. They're probably going to still rest maybe their 7 or 8 best players. So again, that could fall quite nicely for us because we will probably not be that depleted.
What non-Italian players have they got?
Oh, mate, everyone. Tiff Eden's off, guttingly, but they've still got. I was about to name a player that left them in about 2015. Because I am old now. Fox Matamua, good player.
Have they released their leavers list?
I know. I think they have. I remember Tiff Eden's leaving.
Tiff was one of them.
Yeah, there's a handful. There's a handful of players. Gonzalo Garcia, the not that one, the other one.
Well, of course they've got 2 former Ospreys in Guido Volpi and Ben Cambriani.
Of course.
So I'll put them in the wanted category.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
We'll have to come back to this when the European pools get announced as well.
Yes, absolutely. Scarlets at home.
They don't want it.
They don't want it. As I said in the chat earlier, finally back to normality. Scarlets on Boxing Day in Swansea, Cardiff in New Year's Day. None of this woke nonsense. We're back to be a proper country. This is how it should be. Even though last year was hilarious, like it was the most awful game of rugby. But when Johnny Williams threw that, I'm not even going to call it a pass. I'm going to assume he knocked it on. And Jack Welsh gets it and sells Johan Lloyd, like could sell sand to a Saudi Arabian man. Like that was hilarious because they were like, "Oh, we got the losing bonus, but got the losing." No, you don't. You really don't.
It's a terrible game. James Fender, absolutely incredible, and then Jack Welsh just brought it to life at the end.
Yeah,
like one of those great moments for seeing my mum learn who James Fender is in real time.
Yeah. That was that. Yeah. So Scarlets at home, they don't want it. Cardiff away, this is their Super Bowl, so yeah, they want it.
And
they want it. I think they want it.
The game's not going to be played on grass either, so there's a question.
Yeah,
you want it, let alone.
Yeah,
Harry Dews might not want it, but this might spur him on. So yeah, this is Cardiff Super Bowl. So they definitely want it on New Year's Day. Right, Benetton at home. Don't like it. They don't want it. I'm saying it now.
I've got a feeling. This is post Europe as well.
Yeah.
Week before the Six Nations begins. So
Which we'll
presumably
probably
again,
play Benetton in Europe anyway. So
yeah. But Benetton will be down most of their players because they can't be basically the full Italian squad at this point. And feels a bit like that is a chance for them to send out the boys who don't want it.
he might not even be with us, but Chris Moore to score 4 tries, a la Dewi Lake. So Benetton
Thomas
definitely
Garcia will be
want
there
it.
though, and he will want it. So
Yeah,
it'll be
Thomas
like
Garcia likes. Yeah, they do.
Benetton
like
won't want it. Thomas Garcia will want it. But like, is it going to be like a slice of cake from somewhere in Swansea? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he will want it.
Be worth it to see. We won't even see like Louis Liner. We'll see Matt Gallagher in Swansea.
Yeah.
Then Leinster, they don't want it.
No, they sent their first to play us a couple of weeks ago, so they definitely.
And look where that got them. Yeah. Have your cake and eat it.
Again, this is mid Six Nations, this game. So they are basically the Irish national team. And I know they've got incredible depth, but it kind of stinks of that Ulster game during the Six Nations where we were able to put a really strong team. And Ulster were missing a few key players. And then Dan Ed was knocked over another winning drop goal. So I'm saying Dan Ed was another winning drop goal against Leinster. It's going to become a tradition. Actually, probably be Rhys away by that point, won't it?
It's going to be Rhys Henry versus Tanya Latupo. But it's going to be fantastic. So Leinster don't want it. Glasgow away, they always want it.
Yeah, especially in Glasgow, yeah.
Well, they'll have a reduced squad because Six Nations, but Glasgow away, I'd argue, is one of the toughest fixtures in the URC.
I think it is, yeah. I think that is a game where if you can get 1 point out of it, we've done tremendously well.
Yeah, I agree. Connacht at home.
No.
The last time we played Connacht at home, we were going through a really bad spell.
Oh.
Yeah. The thing is,
scored.
I hold Connacht didn't want it in that game. They just won anyway.
Yeah.
We wanted it less. It was a really miserable game, that.
I'm going to go... Yeah, that was a horrible game to watch. I'm going to go Connacht don't want it. I'm going to put a star next to them.
Yeah, we started really well in that game, and then we just fell away.
Yeah, it was Mickey Williams and Jalo, maybe?
Yeah, Ruben scored, yeah.
Ruben scored as well. Scarlets away, 29th of March. So 2 weeks post Six Nations, isn't this?
Don't think anyone's wanted anything less.
Cool, right. Fine by me.
I think the Scarlets will have a moment of going, they want it, them not realizing what want it means and panicking and thinking wanting it means like 22 dropouts or something.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Scarlets away. Cardiff at home, which is earmarked for Judgment Day. So I'm putting this in want it.
Yeah.
Because they only have to go 12 yards. To their stadium, and less said on that, better, because I'll go off on one. Dragons at home, which seems to be a fixture now, where we just play them at the end of the season at home. They are going in full capital letters, do not want it. They hate this fixture.
It's such
always seem to get it.
Such a contrast on the home and away fixture, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. Every year we seem to get the Dragons in the last 2 or 3 games of the season, and every year it goes the same way.
And then we end in Sharks versus the Lions, who are both firmly going in the wanted category.
I'm still waiting for the Sharks to turn up next season and become a bunch of world beaters. Maybe
they will.
Who's in their squads, and then all of a sudden they'll be there or thereabouts, needing the odd win or two for the playoffs, and then they just play out a lot, and you're well.
So in the wanted category, we've got Dragons away, Munster, Ulster, Zebra, Cardiff home and away, Glasgow Sharks, Lions. Yeah.
I don't think the Lions want that.
Oh, controversial.
I can go with that.
I'm going to put Rian Lowe doesn't want it. Rian Lowe. In the don't want it category, we've got Stormers, Bulls, Edinburgh, Scarlets, home and away, Benetton, Ed Jenks, go to Shea 1, Leinster, Connacht, Scarlets, Dragons, and Rienlo. They're the people who don't want it. I think that's a comprehensive list, and
I think
quite
so.
frankly, the best way to look at a fixture list.
I think it's going to be a really interesting league next season. I think you're going to be full of teams who vary on whether they want it or not. I think we're going to see all four South African teams being more competitive. I think the Sharks will get over whatever's been going on this year, and that Challenge Cup win will help. So you have a 12 team pushing for the playoffs. I think all 11 that have been there this season will continue on as such. And I think we also could see, say we've got a new coach coming in, the coach from the Italian 20s, who's done a brilliant job there.
Yeah.
He might see them improve a bit. So that might be interesting. And the Dragons have got an actual defence coach coming in, which should make a difference there. And Cardiff have been so close to winning so many games. I feel like next year they're going to learn to start winning those. And they might not be pushing for the playoffs yet, but I think they're going to be in a much stronger position and start beating some of the big dogs, which might even out the middle of the table a bit more. Well, so I think, providing I'm not a Scarlets fan, I'm quite excited about next season.
Mm-hmm. Cardiff have to win. If they don't do anything next year, it becomes a problem. And I had a discussion with Hugh Griffin earlier about the Scarlets. Scarlets have a very winnable first 6 games.
Okay.
If they don't win 4 at minimum, then something has to be said, basically. That's the fixture list. Right, let's do good player first, and then we'll end with Judgment Day. So, we're not going to do a Judgment Day because I feel like we've covered the Tandy era in a bit. I think we'll park it and come back to the Tandy era when we maybe look at like the league win or someone like that, like maybe the back end Sean Harley start of the Tandy era. We're going to go back to 2008, where Ospreys played Cardiff. Well, it says Cardiff Rugby here, but it's Cardiff Blues. They were firmly the Blues at this point. So let's say rugby in 2008 was not a fun time internationally. Probably Test match rugby wasn't great. A lot of up and unders. The Jackal was very strong.
Well, it was the time I got properly into it. The time I first got really excited by it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So that's what I love. I love up and unders. I love teams not wanting to concede.
Yeah,
big into it.
Obviously, Six Nations that year, quite good.
Yeah, it went all right, didn't it?
Yeah, it went all right.
The Ospreys beat England.
Yeah,
with
Ospreys
2 ringers.
Beat England. Yeah, two random men brought in off the street.
One of which now an Osprey himself, though, in Mark Jones.
Yeah,
so like that is 14 Ospreys.
Yeah, 14
That is
Ospreys.
just the Ospreys and 1 ringer.
Yeah. So in terms of Welsh rugby in quite a good place, we won 6 Nations. We'd make up a fair chunk of the Lions team next in the following year. So we come to the team. So this game finished 32-10. And the best way of describing it is Cardiff just didn't want it. It's honestly the best way of describing it. Who do you think refereed this game?
Nigel?
It was Nigel. The Celtic League, put some respect on the name. Is it the best iteration of the league?
I prefer the Magnus League myself.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm a Pro 12 boy.
The Rabo Direct Pro 12.
The Rabo Direct Pro 12.
Real one.
The real one. So this was the start of the season thing. So this was played on the 9th of September. So let's look at the lineups. Who do you want to start with? Home or away?
Let's start with Cardiff.
Right, let's start with Cardiff. Fullback Ben Blair.
Good player.
Oh,
great player.
Hello.
What a player.
Can't want to, only just tragic end to his international career, 2003 World Cup, I think it was.
I don't
great for Cardiff.
I
think got injured.
Basically invented Lee Halfpenny.
Yeah.
Like, was Lee Halfpenny's real mentor, and you can see it when you watch Ben Blair play.
Was kicking this day as well. So, yeah. At right to winger, Richard Mustoe, former Osprey, of course.
a
We
fine
talked at
player.
length about Richard Mustoe before on a previous pod, so go find that. I can't remember which one it was. 13, Jamie Robinson.
Solid player.
Yeah.
So the lesser remembered Robinson brother.
Yeah.
This would be fresh off his like brilliant try against South Africa, wouldn't it? His like length of the field intercept against South Africa.
Yeah. Yes, it was. You're right. Summer tour 2008. Another Jamie Robb. In Jamie Roberts.
Future Test Lion, etc., etc.
Future, was soon to be on the Lions tour, 2009.
With what, one cap to his name against Scotland that year? Oh no, he'd just gone on that summer tour, of course, hadn't he?
Just gone on that summer tour, yeah.
Just been moved into the centre by Gatland months
moved
earlier.
into the centre by Gatland. Still had pace and a step. I think obviously this was the Imperial era for Jamie Roberts, so 2008 to about 2013, I'd say. Was his Imperial era where he was probably one of the best 12s in the world. Yeah.
Probably second only to Marnonu at the time.
Yeah. Well, and the Ospreys 12 of this day. The Brew on the other wing. Alid Brew.
Great player. Vastly underrated.
Very underrated.
This is a very tidy backline.
Yeah,
it's not bad so far. I won't lie, it does drop a bit when you see who's 9 and 10. So you got Kerry Sweeney at 10.
Perfectly decent player, Kerry Sweeney. I'll stand up for Kerry Sweeney.
If you want it to kick off, Kerry Sweeney's your man.
Yeah, I've got a lot of time for that. No, Kerry Sweeney was like a very decent, very Welsh Valleys fly half. A lot of time for Kerry Sweeney.
He was
had that fight in a kebab shop.
The MySpace generation Lee Jarvis.
Yeah. Georgia Evans' cousin from the Welsh women's team as well.
Does she like to fight as well?
I hope so. Kerry Sweeney also loves bows in his hair. So look, the two things go together.
Darren Allison at 9.
Oh, Darren Allison. For a long time.
I have no memory of.
For a long time, when I had to name an obscure rugby player, which happened more often than you'd think, I would go to Darren Allison. Was all right for Cardiff. Was part of that like European Cup winning or Challenge Cup winning team. Because he had one game where they had so many injuries that Martin Williams was covering 9. If Darren Allison had to go off,
he's only 35.
Darren Allison. Okay. He then went to London Irish and sort of played a handful of times over his first season and disappeared off the face of the earth over his like.
Well, you say that he had 131 appearances for Irish.
Okay, fair enough.
This is on his Wikipedia. So he joined Cardiff Blues in 2007 at the age of 18 from the Scarlets Academy. Made 36 appearances, got a winner's medal. Then joined London Irish. He is also a man of the match performance against Cardiff Blues in the Heineken Cup. And then joined Bath, but I don't think ever played. To my knowledge, represented Wales and under-20s as well. Is Gwendraith, Ascoli Gwendraith, for those who know, that's where like a lot of famous rugby players went to school. But Darren Allison is not. He would be the pointless answer.
Yeah, he played 20 games for Bath in the end.
Okay,
most of them off the bench.
Yeah, he signed his injury cover.
Yeah,
he does seem like a very Stuart Hooper player.
Yes, yeah. His last game, actually, for professional career, was against the Ospreys in a 32-19 win. What's it? What? In
the late Tandy era, wasn't it?
What are we looking at? Anglo-Welsh Cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
This separate Welsh team is Joe Gatt on the bench, David Howes at fullback, James Hook and Kieran Fonatia in midfield.
Pre-season game.
No pace there.
Yeah. Dewi Cross and Jay Baker, Welsh Prem legends on the wings.
Yeah. Cross.
Will Jones, 7.
And Dewi Cross, scorer of controversial try against the Dragons in COVID. Right, so we move into the forwards then. Tau Felice. What a
Oh, what a man, what a player,
man. Lovely man. Great player.
a legend,
They're
beloved
so good.
forever.
So good. They named him twice. Thomas Rees Thomas.
Another great player. Another great player. Always a big fan of TRT.
You can't not love T. Rees Thomas. Not the most handsome man in the world. That has to be said.
He's like fourth or fifth place.
Yeah.
He's no Lewis Lloyd.
Do you know what? I always pictured him more as a Dragons player. I always remember him more as a Dragons player.
No, I remember his time at Cardiff.
Obviously played for Wasps as well for that one season.
Was it only one season he was there?
2012, 2013.
Wow.
Made 28 appearances though, so was
There was the infamous story about, because it was when Sean Edwards was at Wasps, and when he signed, Sean Edwards' first words to him was, "I don't pick the bloody Welsh team. Don't just come here for that."
He's probably said that in a pub in West London in a Lions tracksuit.
Yeah,
a mismatched Lions tracksuit. So we move then into Gary Powell.
Oh, vague memories of Gary Powell.
No memory. That's an electrician from like Pontcanna.
No, I think you are right though. I think he was. I've got an image of him in my head because I won't explain why, but this was the peak of my knowing everything about all four regions, knowing every player inside out. Was the sort of season after this, the like 09-10 and 10-11 were sort of the absolute peaks of that for me. So every player that played for a region at any point is locked in my head forever there.
So he had a interesting career path. So started at the Rags.
Oh yeah.
Richmond.
Okay.
Leeds Tykes.
Who were in the Prem at the time?
Yeah. Gloucester and then Blues.
Wow.
That's So Gary Powell, not bald, is the best way I can describe him.
Was he not?
I pictured him as bald, not bald. Had very lovely tuft of black hair, jet black hair. Bradley Davis at lock.
Good player.
Great player.
Good player. Probably played his best rugby out of the Blues still.
I don't know. Yeah, this is early in his career, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Bradley Davis played his best rugby.
2010, just before he went. Because there was that. I think the best game he ever played was that game after his mum died against France, and he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then sort of had a run of a year there where he was nailed on first choice for Wales. And then most of his career either side, it was him and Charteris kind of fought very much for that other jersey alongside Alan Wynne.
That was Wasps era was probably his best. I'd say.
It was his last year at Cardiff and then his years at Wasps, wasn't it? Like that last season when they won the Challenge Cup before he left, he was brilliant all year. And I think that it was that in his first year at Wasps, kind of his peak.
Just really unlucky to be in and around really good second rows.
Yeah.
66.
Crazy he was at the Ospreys last season.
Yeah. And I love him more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love him
this
more.
This time last year he was playing. Like he played in Judgment Day last year.
He kicked the conversion for the barbells last year. I think. At least attempted. I can't remember if he went over the bar or not, but
probably he was a former fly half.
He was a touchline kick as well, which is even more impressive.
He was the Thibaut Flamont of his day. He was a fly half as a kid.
Played for Llantress and Falls at 10. So Scott Morgan was with him in the second row.
Yeah. Solid player. Perfectly all right. One cap, I believe. Scott Morgan.
Ben White at 6. No, not that one.
Ben White. Yes. The original Ben White. Flanker, had mad hair. Sort of him and Ben Lewis looked quite a bit alike or had similar haircuts. Both came along at the same time. Was Australian, I believe, then signed for Exeter and was sort of a bit popular at Cardiff. Then Exeter really got the most out of him. And
he played 100 times for Exeter.
Yeah,
still played 50 times for the Blues.
But he was sort of Martin Williams' fill-in.
Partnering him was Robin Souden Taylor, now Wales
Well.
S&C coach, or one of the S&C
And
coaches.
one of the greatest players of all time, I believe. Once scored a try for Maul that I uploaded to YouTube and might still be up there when I was a kid.
How many caps did he get?
Oh, I'd guess like 12, but
8.
you have the answer.
8
Okay.
caps. Of course, had to retire shockingly early as well, 28.
Mm.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, double-barreled name does let you down a bit, especially in Wales. And then at 8, Andy Powell.
Yeah, early Andy Powell.
Andy Powell. He went on a Lions tour.
Yeah,
He did
this
go on
is
a Lions tour.
when his first cap this autumn.
Where I think it
Lions.
was Phil Vickery said on that Lions tour at some point, "I've seen fuck all from you, Powley." Which is a standout from that tour on that video. It says, "I've seen fuck all from you, Powley." Quickly going through the replacements. Obviously, this is the era still in the 6 replacements. Sorry, 7 replacements. Gethin. So yeah,
Yes, one of the greats.
Right, one of the greats. Gareth Williams.
Yeah, good player.
Yeah,
Perfectly
Paul
decent player.
Tito, great player.
Great player. Icon.
Another great player, Manuel Malatika.
This bench is
great player.
This is a spicy bench. This is
It is.
quite literally.
Should have started them.
Because up next is Jason Spice.
The Curry himself.
It's actually
before Tom Curry. We had Jason Spice.
Bar Gareth Williams. This is a world-class bench, I think, for the time.
Gareth Williams, perfectly decent player, played for Wales.
Yeah, perfectly decent. Manuel Malatika, Jason Spice, Nicky Robinson, and Tom Shankly. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That's a bloody good bench. I mean, if we're going off punditry wise, yeah, some to be desired. But yeah, God, Gethin was so good. Jason Spice was good. Nicky Robinson was all right in this era. Solid club player. Tom Shankly was playing some of the best rugby of his career. 2008.
Yeah,
got injured, so didn't play for the Lions. Really, I like that squad a lot.
Yeah,
they only scored 10 points, so can't be that good. The Ospreys team is pretty much what you'd expect for the time. Lee Byrne, Tommy Bowe, and Shea Williams make up the back 3.
They're okay. I don't think they did much.
Probably the best back 3 ever of the Ospreys.
It's certainly my favourite.
The all-time probably back 3 for me in the Ospreys is that.
Yeah, as a unit, yeah.
As a unit, absolutely. Oh, if his personal preference is Hanno Dirksen, Jeff Hassler, and Richard Fussell. Jeff Hassler, Richard Fussell, and Dirksen is my personal preference. But that's the best. If we're going off ability-wise, this is the best one. Bish and Parker in the centres. So
not bad, solid.
Sonny Parker still playing for Wales at this point. Bish was on the 08 USA tour.
09, yeah.
09, yeah, sorry. Hooky at 10, obviously. Prime James Hook.
This is peak James Hook.
Rodri Wells at 9.
Oh man, remember Rodri Wells?
No,
decent player. Yeah. No, played a handful of times, but was fine. Yeah. The big moment of his career, I guess, there was a derby against the Blues. No, it wasn't this game. It would have been the following season, where Shane was going to play 9, and instead Rodri Wells got drafted in the last second, having not played. I think maybe since this game, having not played in over a year.
Yeah, so fine. There's nothing on Rodri Wells. There's not even a Wikipedia for him.
The well runs dry.
Apart from a Wales Online article that says Rodri Wells rescued Swansea RFC, where he jetted in from Dublin to help Swansea to their first Principality Welsh Premiership success of the season.
Oh wow!
So he flew from Dublin to double play for the Whites to beat Bedwas.
Good on him.
Duncan Jones, Hugh Bennett, Adam Jones.
Good.
Not bad.
That's a world-class front row. I'm sorry. Absolutely is. Duncan, vastly underrated as a prop forward. Went for ages. Adam Jones, best scrummager in the world. Was obviously overlooked on the Lions tour later on in the year. For Vickery, who got obviously, and Hugh Bennett, I thought was great. I loved Hugh Bennett. Hibbard was probably a more fun player.
Yeah.
But I think if we go in front rows, hello. Alan Wynne and Ian Evans, my favourite second row partnership of all time. Not Peaky Ian Evans, though. Peaky Ian Evans is 2013 Ian Evans. Unreal at that time.
Because he had that breakthrough in 2007 where he was great, and then that resurgence after a long injury, probably second half of the season.
Alan Wynne went on the Lions tour. Didn't have a great tour, but was still, obviously.
I don't know, still played all 3 tests.
Scored the win in the first match of the tour.
Yeah. Ian, so Philo Tier at 6. Yes, hello.
The legend.
Hello. Steve Tandy at 7.
Hero.
Look, he played 100 games for the Ospreys, and they were all 6.5 out of 10.
You can't complain.
I can tell you that right now. Steve Tandy played 100, 6.5 out of 10 games for the Ospreys.
Someone's got to do it.
Describe 10. Yeah.
Hey, he was playing 7. He played 6.5. What more can you
Ryan Jones at 8 in the form of his life.
Yeah. Absolute peak Ryan Jones. Great player.
Cruelly injured for the Lions tour.
Yeah.
Who flew out.
Overlooked at first, then got injured once he flew out.
He flew out, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you are injured."
Because he'd got injured playing for Wales against the USA the previous week,
he did.
allowing for Sam Warburton to come off the bench and replace him for his debut. A youngster by the name of Samuel Kennedy Warburton. Oh, all this is just in my head forever.
He went and had a decent career. On the bench, then Ed Shirvington was fine.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Paul James, great player.
Solid.
Really hope Dylan James plays for the Ospreys.
Oh yes,
he's well thought of in the system. Ian Goff was in his resurgence as well. And
the Grand Slam.
Yeah, where they brought in analysis, and he was told, "You're not allowed to touch the ball. All you do is hit Rexy." And Tom Smith was fine.
Yeah,
servant for the Ospreys.
Decent club player.
Jamie Nut Brown. I'll say Jamie Nut Brown.
The best Pokemon game to play for the Ospreys was Nut Brown.
Yeah. Gareth Owen, not Gareth Reese Owen.
Solid player. I think I did a big deep dive on Gareth Owen's career a few weeks ago.
Did go to Scarlets though.
Yeah, and then Leicester Tigers. Two cardinal sins.
But he did do. He was a bit periwinkle at Leicester Tigers, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
And then Nicky Walker, the slowest winger to ever exist.
It's a decent player though.
Yeah, fantastic, and was in shit hot form at this point.
Yeah.
Went to the 2007 World Cup. Scotland.
Where he was the best player there.
Which is how he took that from Phil Godman, I don't know. So you've just come off the 2007 World Cup. Are you happy to be finished with that?
It sort of feels like it never ends, like this has just become an ongoing part of my life now, is every week I have to watch an old rugby game.
Have you started planning in the next series?
Well, we want to do a Women's World Cup. We can get a full series for it. We thought that'd be fun. But it's really difficult. Yeah, 2010 would be great. 2014 would be ideal. But yeah, if not,
2014 on Sky a lot.
I remember, 2010 being my first exposure to women's rugby, being on Sky.
So that was this game in terms of the time. yeah, it was a pretty normal game. So Tommy Bowe scored because of course he did, as did Shane, and James Hook scored 2. James Hook kicked 5. Sorry, 3 pens, 2 pens and 3 conversions. This was like Ospreys at peak of their powers, Wales at peak of their powers. Like James Hook was unplayable around this time. Cardiff brought Tom Shankly on at half time and took Jamie Roberts off. So I'm assuming he must have been injured.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a nice. You sort of the highlights of this game exist in really grainy footage. So if you do go out and find them, it's very good. Like Hook is just unreal, spiky hair. Like I say now, I preferred him to Gav.
That's big talk.
I'd like to take prime Hook over prime Gav.
I am a Gavin Henson truther, Gavin Henson loyalist, and I always shall be.
Love Gav. I absolutely adore Gav. And Luke Upton, who does follow the pod, is going to be very upset at this. Sorry, Luke. Because I know you're a Gav. Well, you are. You've got a PhD in Gavin. So, yeah. I take Prime Hook. I love Hook. But
I did it this time.
Yeah, you did it this time. 2017 Hook, not so much.
Yeah. I built a career off that vendetta, though, so I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Shall we take a look at the game of the weekend very quickly? Let's have a. So we have not really done a press conference for this one. So we can't really comment on injury front.
Though Fender's not expected back.
No,
I don't think there's anyone.
Back.
I don't know if there's anyone that picked up injuries in the Dragons game.
We know Beard's out.
We don't know Owen Watkins' situation after he pulled out late for personal reasons.
Obviously.
We don't know what's happened there. We don't know if he's going to be okay to carry on. Hopefully, whatever happens resolved itself and is okay.
Yeah. I feel that this is going to be a very unchanged squad.
Yeah.
You think mainly because we have no players left? Is the main guy. The only one I could potentially see is you bring Nagy in at fullback.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would do that. I think I would bring Nagy in more so you can use Walsh off the bench to change the game if we need those tries.
Lions.
You want him to come on fresh and be able to change the picture and attack things and use his pace from 10. Yep. And I think I would start Nagy for that reason.
And people forget that Nagy's still in the top 10, and was for ages one of the top attacking fullbacks in the league.
Yeah.
So are we saying, right, let's start Nagy at 15? Yestin, what do you think? Who comes? Do you think Nagy comes in at 15 or do you think Walsh stays?
I think Nagy in the 15 for me. As much as I do like Jack Walsh, I think he'll be having Nagy at fullback or Walsh on the bench to provide a different option, I suppose, if things are a little bit tricky.
Morgan and Giles for wings.
Yeah, it's kind of got to be.
There's not much else to be changed, is there?
Yeah,
Morgan and Giles. Big test,
Harry
Giles.
Houston, sort of. Yeah, real statement game potentially.
Real statement
because there is a wing spot open for Wales.
If he performs better than Cabango, with Josh Adams out of this game as well.
Yeah.
He is probably the form winger in Wales.
And if Adams, they were saying they don't know how bad Adams' injury is. Potentially, if he misses that tour, you are looking at a couple of spots being open in that squad.
Yeah, the bloke was having blood drained from his knees every week.
Jesus.
In the World Cup. It was bad. I think Owen should be okay. As far as Owen should be okay, I hope. Mm-hmm. So Owen and Keith, who obviously we haven't talked about the Dragons game, but I thought Keith was fantastic.
I think I've watched that chop tackle he did about 50 times.
Oh,
it's so good.
Look, we're an Iron Owen truthers on this pod, right? We take an Iron Owen in a heartbeat. but it's just the way he gets chopped down and then like jackaled by 48-year-old Justin Tipuric. It's just a sight to behold. But yeah, big test for him up against Grady.
Yeah.
And whichever centre they pull out their ass. Whichever ancient centre they reanimate for the game. 10, do we think keeps with Edwards? I think he finishes the season with Edwards, surely.
I think so. I feel like that's the direction things are heading, is towards Dan Edwards, building towards him being first choice, certainly by the middle of next season, if not
in front of Gatland as well. Not saying he'll go to Australia, but great audition.
It'll be biggest kind of stage he's played on to date, and giving him that platform, having given him enough game time, it's quite exciting.
Ruben at 10. 9, sorry. I'd love Ruben at 10.
Ruben at 10.
Ruben at 9, who again was brilliant against Dragons.
Yeah.
If you look at his try, right, everyone obviously looks at Morris's line and truck and offload, but look at Morris and Ruben will go into the line. It's like George Horn-esque. It's so good. It's such smart, high IQ rugby. Yeah. So I think Ruben at 9. 8 is a tricky one. I wonder who will get it. No, it's Morris. Obviously up against Mackenzie Martin, most likely.
I think there is an argument to be made for, if we're going all out for 4 tries, which we need to, making the top 8 will require 4 tries almost no matter what. It's interesting, on the Scrum 5 pod, Booth said he won't tell, because we kick off last, it's us and Ulster kick off as the last 2. So Ulster Munster won't be over by the time we start, but the other games will be, most likely. It means that we will know pretty much, we will know what we need going into the game, what's possible.
Because it's Edinburgh and Benetton are the team that will.
Yeah, which is, I think, a 1 p.m. kickoff.
Yeah, I think.
And the Lions as well.
All teams involved are on the Friday night. So you've got Connacht on the Friday night away in Dublin. And then you've got Benetton, Edinburgh, and then the Lions Stormers derby. I think that's the Saturday 1 p.m. slot kickoffs. So I think we kind of know what's going on by about 3 p.m.
We will know, yeah.
So as a kind of, I guess, quick catch up, we need whichever of Benetton and Edinburgh wins to not get a losing bonus point. Doesn't matter who wins, but as long as they don't get a point out of that, as long as who wins by more than 8. Though I suppose the other side is because they both will win more games than us, so that's fine. We need the Lions to, it doesn't matter if they get bonus points or whatever, we need them to not beat the Stormers. But the Stormers away, Stormers going for those top 4 spot, so fingers crossed they go fairly big on that. And we need Connacht to not beat Leinster with a bonus point in the RDS, which feels like a long shot anyway.
If you're seeing Leinster's squad, Connacht have a very good chance.
Yeah, but they need to win with a bonus point, like we do, in order to kick us out. So, that's the tricky bit of it. But we will know by kickoff. Booth said he's not going to tell the players unless the situation comes through where they only need 4 points rather than 5.
I still think that, Morris will start at 8. 6 and 7, I think, stay the same. Jack Morgan and Justin Tipuric both played very well.
More time in the saddle from Ruben after injury as well.
I think there's I could see the logic in putting Morgan Morse in as the pacier option at 8. But I think you stick with Morgan Morris.
I do also see the argument for Deeves. As just a menace. But you do lose a line out forward in Tipuric then, because you're not dropping Morgan for Deeves. So 4 and 5.
I think the same back row as last time.
Ratty and
they kind of have to.
Sutton, Ratty definitely playing for a place on the plane.
I
think Sutton, don't count Sutton out as well. A lot of people have been talking about this kid. Has played very well at the back end of the season. And
Wales have a massive lock crisis. So if he can put in another good game here for the games in South Africa he put in, this could be huge for him, winning that cap.
And then front row, I think you go Nicky to start
Yeah, agreed.
again. Nicky to start, Dewi, and then Tommy B.
It's so weird that when Nicky comes off, we won't see him play for the Ospreys for a full year.
Yeah. I wish they hadn't published a leavers list. I could treat him like Michael Collins. He's not actually left. So yeah, I think so. I think the starting 15 would be Nicky, Dewi, Tom, Ratty, Sutton, Moggs, Tips, Morris, Rubes, Dan Edwards, J-Lo, Keith, Watkin, Luke Moggs, and Nagy. On the bench, then you'll have Parry.
Yeah, with billion tries, he can score alone.
Yeah, he needs a rest though. He's played a lot of rugby.
Yeah, thankfully this is no, it's not the last game of the season, is it?
No, we've got 3 more games.
We get what we want.
There's a lot of rugby to be played.
Yeah, Gartom.
Yeah.
And there is an argument for Lloyd, but
yeah, and also I suppose for giving Garen Phillips game time ahead of next season. But I think you have to go all out on this.
Yeah. And then Henry.
Yeah.
Tight Ted. I just think having that experience of Henry.
Having a kicking option to come in. Yeah.
Having a kicking option, yeah. 19, I think, will be Lewis Jones.
Okay.
Because he's back. But the optimist in me just says it's going to be Stone Cold James Fender. And
that would be great if out of nowhere. But supposedly he wasn't training 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't think he's trained. So.
He won't be fit to play.
I'm going to say Lewis Jones.
I'd stick Sekakete in. Keep him there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because he'll only get max by 8 minutes. If I'm honest. Deves 20. Although I do see the logic.
I put Mawson.
I do see the logic in Mawson. I to be honest, I see the logic in a 6-2 here.
Yeah.
I do see the logic in a 6-2.
I think Cardiff went for a 6-2 last time as well. I understand.
I think they're going to do a 6-2 this week as well.
Have you got centre covered though? Who covers centre if you've got Walsh and
Nagy.
Luke as the... Oh, I guess so, yeah.
Nagy with 13 if need be.
Yeah.
So do we want to go 6-2?
I think so. Well, he's looking at... If Yeston Hopkins isn't fit, then who would be back on the bench? You're looking at, I suppose, Boshoff would come in.
Boshoff or Florence.
Florence.
Would be a good show.
Maybe Harry Houston at a push.
I think 6-2.
Is Matt Provorov fit?
Yeah.
Him getting the send-off of scoring that 4th try would be perfect.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go Morse. I think we go 6-2. I would go Morse. Luke. We're not covering the Luke Davis news story, by the way.
Oh,
it's just not something I want to talk about, if I'm honest. Look, the courts will decide his fate as far as I'm concerned. He's a paid employee by the Ospreys who's eligible to play. And there's an argument to be made around rehabilitation of offenders and equal opportunity.
And you look at how Toby Booth handled the case around Matt Aubrey and Callum Carson. And I think he handled that as well as I've seen any coach handle a similar kind of scandal in terms of not having them in the building until they'd gone off and done sufficient work with homeless charities and worked through their issues and made amends, and changed his people. And I trust him to do the same again if we come to that sort of situation.
Varying rumours around when Luke Davis signed that he was on last chance, so they were going to have to clean his act up around other stuff as well. So we're not commenting on it other than that. There's a lot to be said around it. And then 23, so should we say, who do we say 23? Boshoff? I think Florence.
I think 6-2 might work, but Florence, Boshoff. If Matt Provorov is fit, I go Matt Provorov. I'll take
Actually, let's go Probs. I'll go Probs. So, that's a good squad. I think we're in a much better place mentally than we were Judgment Day last year.
Well, so there's something Booth talks about on the Scrum 5 pod, is he said basically after they lost to Saracens and they had all the contract stuff hanging over them, he said they were not up for a game and it was really not a great atmosphere around the club the week leading into that game. So it's kind of no surprise we got the performance we did.
The Edinburgh game the week before as well. You can kind of just sense everything went flat. You know, you had the the Saracens performance, which was so good despite the defeat. And then you just rocked up in Edinburgh and just everything just went flat. And you thought, oh, this is just gutted.
Yeah.
And
I do think mentally we're a better place. Cardiff missing Josh Adams is huge. No, No, they will have Ellis Jenkins.
Ellis Jenkins injured. He's injured.
Ellis Jenkins is injured. Thomas Young is injured. They've got Rory Thornton. I'm just counting that as a handicap.
Well, I think the thing that goes for Cardiff is they've got quite a number of players playing potentially the last game.
They've got momentum as well. They've got momentum.
Yeah.
They come off a big win away in South Africa.
And you look at their season, right? And they haven't won many games, but the ones they have lost, they've lost by small margins. Yeah. So there haven't been many teams who've rocked up and handed them bonus point losses.
And Cardiff are... So the way we beat them last time was we got on their discipline. So you force them to give away penalties. If you remember last time, we also had the penalty try. Josh Turnbull, stupid yellow. James Botham got a yellow from the penalty try, sorry. They gave away multiple scrum infractions. If you get on their discipline, they do crumble. And they also don't like points being scored in momentum. They struggle to build back momentum in games.
So the only teams that have put bonus points past them this season were the Lions when they crumbled in the last 10 minutes when they were in it up until there. Leinster, and then Quins and Racing in Europe.
Did we not score bonus points?
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
I thought we got 3.
Giles
Giles got 2. Yeah,
Giles 2 more some penalty try.
Yeah, of course we did. Okay.
Okay, then you wouldn't forget our friend Mr. Penalty Try.
If you look at them games, them tries are all scored in succession. So it's not like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's Lions will score some in succession. Leinster definitely scored theirs in succession. We scored ours in succession. So Cardiff, they go through scoreless periods and they get punished for it. Their discipline is woeful. I think their threat, the breakdown in terms of the jackal is nullified in losing Jenkins and Young, but they are a threat in their physicality around the breakdown with the likes of Alan Lawrence, Ben Donnell,
James Botham. In that sense, so I do think we do need to shore up that they do have big ball carriers. Alan Lawrence, Ben Donnell, Mason Grady, obviously, picked Jack Walsh's pocket like a child last time. But I do think that if we get front football, you bring the likes of Dewi Lake, you bring Jack Morgan onto the ball, you bring Morris, you bring Tipper. Morris is one of the best carriers in Wales in terms of pulling defenders in. I do think that you just tire them. Can you get on top of Reece Carey? Can you get on top of Domachowski? Can you do these things? You force Belcher into foul throws, things like this. So I do think the game can be won. I don't think we're going to batter them.
No, neither
but
do I.
I do think we can score 4 tries and win. I think there's a world in which it's 4 tries to 3 and we win. I don't see one where it's like 4 tries to 1 or 5 tries to 1.
I'd go a very similar scoreline to the one in January, 27-21.
Yeah. I'm nervous about it, but also there's a big bit of me that's I kind of settled into the fact last round of games that we're not making the playoffs and it's all fine. And actually, I'm really proud of what we've achieved this season. If we can just beat Cardiff, that'd be great and that'd be enough. But at the same time, the closer we get and the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, God, well, we could do it. We could sneak in here.
The bit that gets me in a place like this is we clearly had the game plan. We had to score 4 tries against the Jackals, right?
Yeah.
And we struggled. because
Yes.
we're in the mindset of having to score for. I said this on Rap at the time. You put yourself in a position where you're so desperate to do something, you mess up consistently.
Yeah.
So we can't get into that habit. I don't know. I'd love to keep forcing the penalties and force an Aaron Wainwright, force a Dane Blacker type incident. We have to be clinical against Cardiff, I think.
And
a kicking game is too good for us not to be. And with all respect to Dragons, they've got 2 weak kickers out of hand in Rosser and Reed.
Yeah.
But they don't at Cardiff. They've got Ben Thomas. They've got teams to be. So
yeah. I
give us a score prediction, boys.
If you come back to me at 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon and when the results must have gone the Ospreys' way,
I'll text you in the stadium, yes, then.
I don't know. I just got a bit of a sense that there might not be an abundance of tries. I don't know. It just feels like that end of season, like not a lull, but a game which might not produce 40 odd points each or whatever. Just feel like the Ospreys might just get over that 4 bonus point try. Oof. Something like 26, 21, something like that. It's not going to be like tries running in left, right, and centre. They'll be like well taken tries. Or you might have the odd intercept here and there or something. And Reece Henry to score as well. Just another prediction thrown in there for a laugh.
Yeah, Robbie, go.
I think if we get an early try, we'll be fine and we can settle into it. I worry about the situation you were saying about us bombing a bunch of chances. I don't think Cardiff will let what happened with the Dragons game happen in terms of scoring a flurry of tries close together. I doubt that'll come. But the way I see it going is, if we can get that early try, I feel that fourth try is going to take us right to the end. And I feel like it'll be a tight game. We'll be maybe a point or two ahead, then try right of death to get that fourth try bonus point. Is what my gut's saying. But it's also saying late try for Benetton to get a losing bonus point there, and it'll all be pointless. But
for me, in that Benetton Edinburgh game, I'm going to hope for just Benetton spank Edinburgh. It's the more like it is the. I think the two things are like it's either can be like 12-9 or Benetton spank them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 20. I'm going to go 28-21. I'm going to go the same scoreline as it was in Bridgend. I'm going to go. I think Giles will score. I think Morris will score. I think Deeves will come off the bench and score. And just for a laugh, penalty try will score. Yeah, I just hope it's a good game. I just hope it's a good game. I'm a bit like you, Robbie. I've preserved the fact that we might not get to the playoffs, and I'm fine with that. I just want to see us win. I want to see us end with more W's than L's, essentially, in the league. And when we take a look at this season as a whole, after the playoffs, or after whenever, I want to say 5 out of 6 in Welsh derbies. 4 or 5 stuff. I want to look at the positives. I don't want to look at Judgment Day as another loss.
Yeah.
So I think that's everything. I think we need to wrap up. If you're going to Judgment Day, have a fantastic day. If I do say anybody down there, please say hi. We look forward to going down. You can follow us at Ospreys Irie on X, at Squid Rugby on X, at Thomas21. Find us on whatever podcast channel you listen on. Follow us, the Rap Pod, on TikTok. Yeah, so Robbie, congrats on your Champions Cup final video.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Finally went up. Finally got up today.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Check Yestin's blog out, the Open Side blog. Fantastic stuff on there. Well done for finishing uni as well, mate.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, second year's kind of all
Second year's done.
awaiting results. Weirdly.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I've not really got much to say other than the fact that I'm on half term. I go back to work next week.
Perfect.
So that has been us. We shall see you next week when we preview our playoff opponent, which I believe will be Bulls.
Well,
Munster or Bull, yeah.
Munster. Oh yeah, piss easy.
Munster are top. If they win for bonus point, we are headed to Munster. If they slip up, if they lose, basically we're heading for Bulls.
Okay.
But a win should see them through.
Coming for you. Right, we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Ospreys Ari podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to us, as it really helps spread the word. You can find us on all the usual social media channels or email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. And remember, whatever the question, rugby is always the answer.
Sports Social Podcast Network.